And that leads us to a team who I don't think is running things particularly well. Though they took a bunch of players I do like. I will say that if you just showed me this, like, blank, I'd be like, I like that a lot. Then you show me the team and I go, what's happening? What's the plan here?
Yeah,
It's the Cardinals who trade for Hollywood Brown, we mentioned there. They get the DeAndre Hopkins suspension, 48 hours later, something like that, for the PED use, which an all-time hilarious
yeah.
classic. I don't know. They must just, the agencies now have that on, ready to go on letterhead, like, tainted supplement. We don't know what happened. He's shocked. Um, so they must have known. They will have known the suspension was coming down. Those things happen over weeks when they did the Hollywood Brown trade, which makes it make some more sense. But my issue with them throughout the whole offseason has been they're running the same offense over and over again. And maybe the Trey McBride pick suggests bit more variance, a bit more 12 personnel, 13 personnel, bigger sets, more tight end based stuff. Hollywood Brown doesn't really suggest that. I just that seemed like a trade to tell their angsty, as we always call him, the angsty teenager in the bedroom, Kyler Murray, to say, can you please put your stuff back on Instagram? Look, we got you a receiver who's
Yeah.
quite well known. It was not value. It's a serious overpay. And I don't know why they went so offense heavy when I like Cam Thomas. I like Myjai Sanders. I would not be relying on them to say, bring me Chandler Jones type production in year one. When this team is on a playoff or bust path because of the Kyler situation.
I mean, I loved what they did from the. I mean, I love what they did generally, and I completely agree with your point. And I love what they did from the sixth round onwards in terms of, you look at Keontae Ingram, you look at Lessiter Smith, who I absolutely loved out of Virginia Tech. You look at Jesse Lucater, who I thought was really impressive at the senior role, can play on the edge, can play middle linebacker. Marquise Hayes is great value in terms of, it's the 29th pick of the seventh round, for that kid out of Oklahoma. But I mean, I feel the same way about Cliff Kingsbury that you feel about Kenny Pickett. I mean, I find his rise and his position in the NFL to be somewhat astonishing, given how bad of a head coach I think he is, and how bad, like embarrassingly bad, that offense can look at times in terms of just scheme, and in terms of, that playoff game against the Rams was just the absolute cherry on top of the terrible Cliff Kingsbury pie. And he can sit for all he likes in his no socks and shoes, and looking funky in his lounge, but he can't coach a jot. And I think it's really coming. I think he will be battling, because I also think that just the way that Kyler Murray situation has been handled, and I'm not removing Steve Keim from any of the blame either, but I just think that I just don't get Kingsbury, and I think he's a bit of a. I think Kyler Murray probably looks at him and thinks, I just don't really get this. Yes, we have a relationship. Yes, you recruited me when I was in high school, but actually, this isn't working, and it's not working. I mean, he's not stupid. He must.
I think we can't. I think he's genuinely in the cult of Cliff. I think they have the same agent. I would not be surprised if it was a package situation where I think so. I mean, maybe I have a different read than me. I don't know anyone in the Cardinals camp
No,
at
I don't
all,
either.
so
I
I
don't.
only have the outside perspective. I know they've got the same agent, and I know that agent only works with a certain group of people, and they're all tight. So that would suggest to me, and he got the new contract, right, which makes no sense. Steve
Yeah,
Keim getting a new contract makes no sense.
yeah.
So I don't know if it's just like an organizational thing. They really want to be a long-term building team. If they were just trying to indicate to Kyler this is going to be the situation moving forward, everything there is happening because of Kyler Murray. Has to be. It's the only plausible explanation that they're worried that he would ask to leave.
And I think that's reflective in what they did on draft day in terms of overpaying for Brown, bringing in McBride. I just that to me just it smacks of, Kyler, look what we're doing for you. Look what we're
Yeah.
doing for you. It's wouldn't surprise me.
And there is the case to be made if Steve Keim says, look, we have to change this offense a little bit. They run, as you said, high school sets regularly, right? And that's
Okay.
fine from a big picture perspective of we're going to do athletes in space, spread option football, get that. At the NFL level, you have to change week to week. You have to be able to change within the game. He's one of the worst sequences to have ever called an NFL game. It's just that's why they're bad in the second half of the season. It's why they're bad in the second half of games, because he does not adapt. We run what we run, and we hope we can out-athlete you in the NFL where everyone's an amazing athlete. It's
Yeah.
why they are chasing Hollywood Brown, because they're like, well, we throw the ball to the perimeter on a bubble and hope our guy beats someone in space. We best go get Hollywood Brown because that's the only fraction of a percentage point we can raise the athlete level.
And people are like saying, "Oh, are they injured, or are they starting to slow down? Or are they tired?" It's no. Everybody's just looking at their tape and thinking, "I'm seeing exactly the same thing, down after down, drive after drive, possession after possession, game after game," and it's really easy to read.
I just can't believe they used a first round pick on a receiver not on their own roster.
Yeah.
That they didn't go and take an edge rusher or an interior lineman. And maybe Kyler wants to throw the ball to fun players. Maybe him and Hollywood have a relationship. I have no idea. But if I'm him, I'd rather get protected. He gets hit an awful lot. He's always injured, or at least knocked up. Jesus, he's always got some wear and tear in the second half of the season, which I think contributes to the stiltedness of the offense because they can't run him as much in the second half of the season because he's always wearing a brace and 9 different contraptions to get him through games. So I don't know. The Hayes one, I'll give them some credit on that one. I like that. I think we discussed him on the last show before the draft, where because of what they run at Oklahoma is so specific for those interior guys, half the league is just like, no chance. Can't be arsed with that. Not taking those players. And the only one where that makes sense is Arizona. So for them to steal him in the 7th, they probably were like, we could take him in the 4th. Let's just wait. And we'll just slide back in the 7th. So an odd one. Like you said, I like the class. Don't like the class with that roster.
But would you surely sitting there, we trading for a really underachieving / mediocre wide receiver, but he's mates with your quarterback, or do you replace Hassan Reddick and Chandler Jones with a falling Jermaine Johnson, who both Albert Breer and Peter King said that the only reason he really fell was because he wasn't overly impressive in his interviews in terms of just conveying. You watch someone like Kaya Elam and how great he was in his interviews, your guy Elam and how great he was, or someone like Trent McDuffie, and actually Johnson was probably middle of the road, which seems to have sort of been part of his fall. But you just think, if you're Arizona, would you not just sit there and take Johnson off the board, knowing that's a massive hole, rather than overpaying for a mediocre receiver? I mean, makes no sense to me.
I would rather have had Ebiketie if he's there. If Johnson hadn't fallen, I'd have said, sure, let's just go take the best power rusher available in the draft, and we'll figure. I mean, with that offense, you could have taken receivers in the 4th, 5th round. You could have taken a Shakir and said, well, if we're just throwing them the ball in space, what difference does it make?
I'll tell you what, I'll draft a Danny Gray who can run a 4.29, 4.30 because he's as fast as Hollywood Brown. And
Thornton, the Baylor lad. Go and take him before the Pats. Strange.
Very
strange. I'll say on Elam, by the way, can I pat myself on the back for that one with Buffalo? I had really good knowledge about that meeting. That's how I knew. That's why I was making that prediction before the draft. I knew that was going down. So
I love that clip. Did you see the clip where he got out his little notebook?
Yeah.
Really interesting, really informative.